Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for joining us for Webinar Wednesday, number 289. I'm your guest host today, Maureen Buscher-Dang. Usually I'm in the background, but today Kelly's a little under the weather and doesn't really have a voice, so I'm subbing in for him. We've got a great show ahead of us today. We've got three dynamic speakers. We've got Crystal Quiñones with Nurture, Israel Lara from the SBA, and our resident economist, Dr. Mark Evans. And let's get going. Coming up, let's see, on our next couple of weeks. Next week, Kelly and I are taking off for Labor Days, so no webinar Wednesday then. The following week, on the 13th, we will have Sarah Sims with the San Francisco Federal Reserve. She will be discussing dynamic lending data. Should be a really good webinar, I think. You might want to tune in for that one. Okay, so what's up today? We have great information on creating a profitable home childcare business if you're interested in doing that. Economic Corner has a good doctor discussing reproduction. Okay. Capital Corner is on hiatus. Community Calendar, we'll just talk briefly about what's up locally. The Great Restaurant Training starting soon. That'll be in September. The City Grant Program is taking applications. And as always, your questions and resources in our chat box. If you would put your questions in the Q&A, that would be great. We will answer them at the end. And then I have Iris, who's usually our voice of SBDC if you call our office downtown. She's working the back end today, and she will be putting the resources in the chat box. So thank you, Iris. And I am not doing a poll today. That's up to the Grand Poobah, Kelly, to be doing that. When he returns, I'm sure he'll have some kind of a fun poll to do. Okay, so community calendar, here's what's going on. Here's a whole list. If you ever need free human resources hotline for employers, there's a whole list here, depending on what county you're in, your business is in, that you can call and get help at no cost. So it's a really good resource. Kelly's vetted it. I was very satisfied with it. Then today, downtown, the 27th annual Hispanic Business Conference and Expo. It's at the Doubletree at the Hilton Hotel. Israel Lara, our first speaker today, will be there. So he's going to be presenting some workshops I'll tell you about in just a second. But it's very worthwhile to go down there. I know it always sells out, so check it out. Let's see, the Bakersfield Foodservice Management Program. Let's see. Well, it's going to be starting up pretty soon in September. This will be one of the things that you can find on our website to learn more about it, but it's up and going. The second annual Youth Entrepreneurship Education Summit is Friday, September 15th. Tickets and sponsorships, you can see all the information there. I'll make sure on a lot of this that I have it in the on-demand email that'll go out to all attendees and registrants afterwards if you want to know more information. And then we would love to have feedback from you on today's webinar. You could just take a moment to let us know. I always send a survey afterwards that you can fill out and send it back. We'd love it if you go and like or subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're at CSU SBDC YouTube. Look for a link in the chat box. We'll be putting that in there later. And you can also go to our business profile page on Google and leave a review. She'll also put something in the chat box for that as well. Okay, so today's first guest is our special guest, Israel Lara Jr. He's with the U.S. Small Business Administration Fresno District Office. Israel was and continues to be a fantastic resource for small businesses with a focus on the SBA Economic Injury Disaster Loan, the PPP, and other valuable SBA valuable SBA programs providing pandemic relief and recovery options. Israel, welcome and take it away.
Thank you, Marie. And welcome to everyone that's listening. Today we're going to be going over a couple of slides for MySBA portal. I'm going to walk you through how to make your payment. But before we do that, I wanted to make sure that the audience that is here today, as a reminder, the president and the governor did declare a couple of disaster in Kern County. So if you were affected by the weather this winter, and if you've not applied for the economic injury disaster loan or the physical loan, this is an opportunity for you to do that if you were impacted because of the weather. And once you do apply, then you will set up your MySBA portal so that you can monitor payments and also review your accounts. So again, if you're in Kern County and you've suffered a loss due to the weather, you are eligible to apply for their disaster assistance and also for economic injury assistance as well. And then we do also have mitigation loan program to help you manage any future disasters so that they are preventable. So we are the Fresno District office. We service Kern County, and we're here in San Joaquin Valley and Central Coast. Next slide, please. So your COVID economic disaster loan is a loan that must be repaid. It cannot be forgiven. It is not a grant. Your payments were deferred for 30 months. Interest occurred during those 30 months, and so you are responsible for the interest that occurred during the 30 months. And there is no penalty and avoid loan default. So make sure that once you start your portal at MySBA, if you're having difficulties making payments, please make sure that you go through your portal. For those who qualify, you might be able to get some additional assistance with your payment, and that tab will actually show up automatically in your MySBA portal if that program is available to you. Next slide, please. So your first payment is due 30 months from the date of the original note. If you have misplaced your note, contact disaster customer service to obtain a copy, or email us here at fresno@sba.gov. You will use MySBA Loan Portal to make payments and set up automatic payments. Next slide, please. So paying and managing your COVID-19 economic injury disaster loan, you will be using MySBA. But MySBA is a nice portal because if you already have an existing loan, whether it's a micro loan or a 504 or a 7(a), you'll be able to access all the loan products you received under the MySBA Loan Portal. So MySBA Portal, we're going to go to the instructions. MySBA Loan Portal allows borrowers to check loan balances, review upcoming payment information for the following loan types. Like I said, all SBA disaster loans, including COVID-19, physical loss loans, paycheck protection, 7(a), 504, microloans. And just as a reminder, as I stated earlier, if you were affected by the disasters during the winter, please make sure you go to www.sba.gov, go to lending products, and you can apply for additional assistance under any of our programs for economic loss. So you're going to create, authenticate, and access, and there is the link, lending.sba.gov. Sometimes it's probably just easier to type MySBA Loan Portal, and it should take you to that website to sign up. So here again is the slide. You're going to need your Social Security number to create an account. Make sure you have the loan number for your account. Now, if you misplaced your promissory note or are not able to locate your loan number, you can always email us at fresno@sba.gov, or you can contact disaster customer service at sba.gov, or call them at the 833-572-0502 number to get your loan number so that you can create the portal. So now we're going to create. So first you're going to go, like we stated, MySBA Loan Portal. This is what it's going to look, making sure that you're on the right page. You're going to need your Social Security number. If you're a nonprofit, you're going to have to send email to customer service in order to update your account so that you can access your portal, and the instructions are online in how to do that. So this is what it's going to look like. You're going to register the account. You're going to put your first, last name. You're going to make a username and password. It's very important. For like myself, it doesn't have a very good memory. I have to come up with a system to remember usernames and passwords. So it's important that you write down or have a plan to make sure you remember the username and password. because this portal will be with you for the next 30 years as you make your payments. It's also going to ask you for your address and your email. So you want to make sure that you use an email that you're going to have access for the next 30 years. So you want to make sure that before you enter an email, access that email, make sure you have the username and password. If you don't recall, then it's probably best that you create something new. And then make sure you read all your emails from SBA, save those, create a separate folder, call it SBA, and then move those emails as you receive them. So it's very important that you read all emails, correspondence from SBA for the next 30 years. So here you're going to register. Once you do that, you're going to connect to your current SBA account. And then you're going to create your security questions. So you want to make sure that you also write down the security question and the answer for all three. So you don't want to be locked out of the portal. If you do, there is a process, but sometimes it's technically challenging to reinstate your account. So the best thing is to write down the questions and the answers, the usernames and passwords for MySBA, and also for your email that you're going to be using to create the account. So we're going to verify your email. Once you create the account, you're going to receive an email. Make sure you go back to that email. That's why it was important that you have access to that email. And then it's going to ask you to verify your email address. Once you do that, then you're going to be set up to go ahead and log in. You're going to log in using the username, password. You're going to click that you agree to the terms, and then you're going to sign in. And then it's going to allow you to access your portal. So once you access your portal, you're going to be able to view your accounts and make sure that you click on all the tabs, read all the instructions once you log into your portal. Make sure that you see the middle section, displays most recent messages received. You will also be receiving messages through your portal, which is a nice option. You'll also be able to get balance and statements right directly from your portal. This is also where you're going to be able to look up your loan account. Make sure you click on the tabs on the top right. You're just going to say loan summary, statements, tax forms, payment history, payment activity, and make a payment. On that, also want to note that if you do qualify for assistance, you're not able to make your payments in the particular area, you will also see a message or another tab saying that you qualify for additional assistance on the deferment. So click on the loan summary to view information about a loan. You're going to navigate the loan number because if you have a 7A, a 504, a PPP, making payments, and if you have existing loans, and if you apply for the economic disaster loan and you apply again for the disaster due to the weather, you would have multiple loans that you can review. So I encourage you, if you have not applied for disaster assistance through the U declaration due to the weather, I would definitely go to SBA.gov and apply online, or you can send us an email at Fresno@SBA.gov, or you can call Small Business Development Center here in Kern, and then they can also assist you in making sure you're submitting your application for the declaration due to the weather. So you can also click, like I stated, for your statements, and then you're going to use the SBA loan number drop-down menu in order to review every loan that you have. Depending on if you have more than one, it's going to have multiple loan numbers. Just click on the correct one that you want to review, and then it will pop up all the information that you need from your SBA portal. So here you're also going to be able to receive tax forms if you need those. Again, you're going to use the SBA loan portal. You're going to get your tax 99 forms through MySBA, which is a great tool for those who need it for their CPA or accountants for the end of the year for tax purposes. So payment history and payment activity. This will also give you all the information. Again, just type in the SBA loan number, click on the drop box, it will pop up the loan, and it will give you that information. And so you also receive messages from SBA. So it's very important that you log into MySBA. Really take some time in understanding what each tab does. I know we're going very briefly and quickly here, but I would really encourage you to create MySBA, get to know the different tabs, what they do, read the instructions, and get familiar with MySBA portal because you will be needing it to monitor payments and make an update bank accounts for the next 30 years. So if you have additional questions, you can always contact SBA at customer support, or you can email them at cls@sba.gov. And for some reason, if you're not able to write down all the information today, you can always send an email to fresno@sba.gov, Fresno District Office, and we will be more than happy to assist you. Just make sure you put your first and last name, a phone number, because we will reach out and call you just to make sure that we're answering the questions that you're providing the correct information to you. And so fresno@sba.gov. So here's some additional contact information with the phone numbers. So I'll leave this up for a couple of seconds so that you can view. It really goes back to my portal. And all this information, you can find it at sba.gov. And you can look through our website, and all this information will be on our website for future reference. So again, this is more information for those who are nonprofit organizations and you're associated with the EIN number. There is no security associated with the loan, so you're going to need to include an SBA loan number, associate's first and last names, the social security number of who's going to be accessing the portal, and make sure that whoever's social security number you're using, that's going to be an employee that's going to be long-term with the company if you're an LLC or a corporation, so that whoever accesses my portal has access for the next 30 years, because for LLCs and corporations, sometimes there's turnover, and so you want to be able to access for the company your portal for the next 30 years. So whoever you assign, make sure that you have a file with all the usernames, passwords, the security questions, so that if someone does retire, you're able to pick up where you left off, sign in, and continue with your MySBA portal. So if you have identity theft, we also encourage you to email us here at fresno@sba.gov if you feel that the loan that the SBA is contacting is not yours, and you feel that someone might have done a fraudulent claim on you. Please send us an email to fresno@sba.gov. So our resource partners, like today, we have the Small Business Development Bakersfield, Kern County, and so they will be your local provider for local assistance. If you need any, if you have any questions on any of our SBA or financial planning or any other resources for your business. Next slide, please. And if you have any questions, please send those to fresno@sba.gov. And there is the link again for MySBA portal. And again, as a reminder, if you have not applied for the economic injury disaster loan or the litigation or the physical loan program, please do so. And if you don't think that you qualify, I would still apply. The loan officer will reach out to you, and if for some reason they need additional information or clarification on your loan application, you will get a reconsideration letter to reapply and update the information so that you can qualify. So you really want to make sure that you take this time and apply, because those two programs will be ending probably at the end of the year. And so you want to put in your application so that you're in the system and a loan officer is working with you so that you can receive additional emergency funding if you were affected due to the weather. So this will conclude our presentation, and I'll turn it over back to Maureen.
Thank you, Israel. Appreciate all of your information there. I know you've got to run, but so if anybody wants to see you, to talk to you today, you're going to be at the Hispanic Expo and Trade Show and Expo. I can't even say it straight. Where are they going to find you?
I'm going to be in the lobby area, and then I'm also going to be doing 2 sessions on loans, going over some of the disaster loan programs that are available for people that were affected due to the weather. And then I'm also going to go over how to use our website to apply through Lender Match. And then we'll introduce some of our local partners so that when they get the checklist through Lender Match and they choose a lender, they'll be able to bring that information to your center, and then you can walk them through the checklist to complete the application. and then they can submit it to the lender they choose.
Excellent. And you'll be able to help anybody in English and Spanish. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. All right. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to have you.
All right. Bye.
Bye now. Okay, Dr. Evans, a man who needs no introduction. Why don't you join me here? Let's get going.
Sure.
Dr. Evans is our resident economist, and I know he's got some fantastic stuff to share with us today. So what's up?
Well, what's up is the Department of Finance released their updated population projections for California counties just last month in July. So I thought we should think a little bit about what that implies in terms of, running your business strategy. And then during the last webinar, we ended by mentioning 5 data releases that were upcoming before the Fed's next FOMC meeting that we were going to track as kind of to guess whether they'll be increasing interest rates again at their next meeting. And 2 of the 5 came out, so I thought I would update you on that. So I've got a bunch of data here that I'm not going to go over, but I believe that anybody watching that wants to have a copy of my PowerPoint, we can get it to them. But basically the story is that from now until about 2040, what you're going to see is slowing population growth throughout California, including the Central California SBDC region. And what I did here is I broke out the county data and aggregated it based on the SBDC service area of each of our service centers. And then what you see from 2040 to 2060 is actual population decline. And this is going to be a national phenomena, a California phenomena, a world phenomena that we have never, none of us that are alive have seen during our lifetimes, but a global decrease in population. In California, it's going to be around a decrease of around 600,000 from 2040 to 2060. Central California, around 50,000 population losses projected. Other than the regions by the Silicon Valley and UC Merced will continue growing, not because they're the only people that want to have a whole bunch of babies, but because people are going to be moving into those areas just because of the dynamics of UC Merced as a growing campus, as well as the Silicon Valley high cost of doing business. Now I'm going to skip this one. Okay, between 2020 and 2030, we're going to have the slowest growth rate of working age population since the Civil War. Basically, what's going to happen is that in terms of dependency ratios, right now, each person of working age needs to be able to support about 0.73 of a person, either a youngster not yet in the workforce or a retired person. And that dependency is going to go up to about 0.84 per working age adult. And remember, a lot of those working age adults don't work. So the burden on the people that are actually working is much greater than this. In case you want to track down this data yourself, if you have my slides, there's all the references. Now, what do you do about it? Well, I think population decline is kind of like the boiling frog parable that you may have heard, where one frog jumps in a pot of water that's kind of hot and he immediately jumps out and he's fine. The other frog jumps into a pot of water that's just the perfect temperature. He relaxes, has a good time, but the pot of water is gradually heating, and what ends up happening is he doesn't get out until it's too late and he boils to death. And this is kind of like preparing for population decline. You don't have to do anything tomorrow. You don't have to do anything next week, but it's coming and it's going to be a huge adjustment. So at some point, we got to start thinking, what are we going to do about it? Some possibilities. You can think in terms of adjusting your product mix, either new product lines, upselling in existing product lines, adding accessories, marketing outside your customary catchment area, doubling down on service and retention because it's going to be harder and harder to replace every customer you lose. I think in terms of HR, you may have to shift your focus from just putting everything imaginable in your minimum qualifications to doing internal training, including the hiring and training of immigrants, because they're going to represent a larger and larger share of the labor force that's going to be immigrants are going to be allowed to come into the country because the labor force is shrinking without them. Now you're going to have to think in terms of accumulating savings, because as the economy slows and there's limited growth opportunities, it's probably going to be tougher to get a loan at the bank. If you are investing internationally, think in terms of the country-specific differences in the timing of these demographic shifts. For example, between now and 2050, there's going to be about 150 million more primary age school children in Africa, but about 150 million fewer in China. So these demographic shifts are happening everywhere, but the timing's different. And then finally, support policies that address the small business challenges that you're going to have. A big one I can think of that relates to our other guest today is childcare. And then I've included a link here, if you have the PowerPoint, that will take you to some very rich data in terms of spending patterns by households as the head of household ages. And if you really are seriously trying to think of what's going to happen to the demand for different products as the population ages, this is a database you should look at. And then finally, what's happened in the last couple of days. Yesterday, the JOLTS report came out. Job openings decreased by 338,000 in July. That's the lowest level in 2.5 years. Voluntary quits dropped by about 250,000, and layoffs are unchanged. And then this morning, the GDP figures for the last quarter were revised downward from 2.4% growth to 2.1%. Now, the implications of all of this is the economy is in fact slowing, and I think it makes it less likely that the Fed will increase interest rates again at their upcoming meeting in November. And with that, Maureen, I'll pass the baton back to you.
Thank you, Doctor. Always, it's very enlightening. That's some sobering statistics there that you've shared with us.
It is scary. It is a world history type event that's happening, but it's happening slowly.
Yeah, that the frog in the pot. That was, yeah, great stuff. Thank you so much. Okay, Crystal, you want to go ahead and join us? And I'm going to go ahead and read your introduction while you can go ahead and get set up, please. Let's see here. Where am I? Okay, so Crystal Quiñones has 10 years of experience as an educator and coach. As a permitted early childhood teacher, she has worked with young children and has also coached adults through the process of pursuing early childhood credentials. As Nurture's lead coach, Crystal brings her academic and lived experience to the way she tenaciously supports entrepreneurs, empathizing with their struggles and fostering their self-advocacy and empowerment. It's a pleasure to have you here with us today, Crystal.
Thank you, Maureen. Always a pleasure. And yes, as Mark said, there's a lot of statistics going on, and some of them can be, a little bit discerning, but I'm really glad that it worked out that I can go right after him, because we're going to talk about, our program, which is called Nurture, and a little bit of what we have to offer. So I'm going to share really quickly with you guys, and we can get going. So again, my name is Crystal Quiñones. I am the lead coach here at Nurture Business. We have quite a bit to talk about, so I'm going to jump right in and get started. All right, so as you may have heard right now, as Mark had said, there are quite an influx of numbers here, and we want to make sure that we are trying to do our best to solve one of those problems, which is the the market failure in the childcare sector. Many may have experience if they have their own children or just, seeing how schools are working, that of course, as it is with most others, there is an inequity and insecurity when it comes to income for those that are living in low income or low to moderate income areas. They're usually going to be getting lower quality childcare, again, not because of the provider, but because of the missed opportunities in comparison to those who are, into middle and higher income families. So we want to really just try to figure out how to close that gap, and a few ways that we are working on getting forward with that and how we're trying to solve that is just really supporting the home-based businesses that are starting up, and we have a few focuses on those. So we want to focus first. The question that gets asked a lot is why home-based childcare? For the Central Valley, we have a nice pretty map here, and the Central Valley is what we call childcare desert. That means that there are not enough children getting care, specifically those 0 to 2 years old. And, as many may know, that for infants and toddlers, home-based settings are the ones that parents tend to look for, and they're struggling to find that. So, we really want to make sure that they are able to get care and they're able to be, offered the quality that everybody should be receiving. So we really want to figure out, what is the way to do this correctly? And we've noticed what, others call an iron triangle, that if childcare entrepreneurship is done, again, correctly, that means having full enrollment. That means really being on top of collecting their payments and having fair rates. It's a very good business for them. So we really, again, want to focus on those that are coming in and are having barriers right from the beginning. Again, those are going to be the low income to the moderate low income families. And we really want to focus on getting them those opportunities. So really, really quickly, I want to show you guys a graphic here that I appreciate always. It's so simple, but so empowering. The way that we can support children, who of course is our end goal. We want them to be able to go to school and be ready for school life, but also more ahead of that, because child development shows that from 0 to 5 are like the most crucial in terms of their development or learning. They're like little sponges, and we want to make sure that they're getting the care that they deserve, the education that they deserve. So by allowing those children to continue on having those, we're ensuring our future in a way. But that really starts off with the childcare entrepreneurs. If they're able to be teaching, the little ones how to have cognitive skills, social skills, emotional skills, they're setting them up for success. And by them being able to have those children in their care, they are in turn allowing parents to, go back to work and have more of an economic security for their families, which in turn goes right back to who we are, catering to the most, is the children. We want them to have the most success in starting as possible. So let's talk a little bit about our program and why we're a little bit different than others. We accelerate the business process, and again, it's to really close that gap in the economic workforce. We do want to improve job qualities and, of course, cater to those that are focusing in childcare, and at the same time meeting those community needs. So we do have a few different ways of approaching this, but our core approach is to help those in challenged communities by offering equitable services to those that are coming from more diverse backgrounds and helping them to create their entrepreneurship in childcare. We are also harnessing the power of technology. We've noticed that a lot of lower income families do not have access to a computer at all times. And because we are in app, most people have smartphones, and we really want to be able to maximize the use of that phone. As many of you guys know, the internet, it can be a powerful tool. We just have to learn how to use it. And then, of course, by building strength within community, we strongly believe that having relationships is the only way to go, because we see ourselves as a sort of spoke in a wheel, and for the community to be as strong and as able, we really have to work together to get that wheel going, and not letting 2 or 4 wheels or spokes of that wheel take all the weight. We really want to encourage community relationships however we can do it. So we do lots of referrals. We are always trying to connect our participants to any organization that is near them, and etc. So really quick, I want to go over what it's like to exactly grow with Nurture. We are offering self-paced learning. We do have everything again in app, so it is a little bit different. We do have group support. All of our participants that are coming through are in cohorts, and they are meeting together and in Zooms. And then they also have one-on-one responsive coaching. So all of the participants, again, know that they have the ability to reach out to their coach, who in this case would be me, and ask questions. We don't want anybody to feel left behind, or having doubts. We want to make sure that everything is clear and that they are able to start where they feel comfortable, and again have that one-on-one support going forward. We again want to make sure that they understand that they have access to that capital, and really show them the numbers so they're able to go forward. As they start with us, they will be watching videos, exploring resources, reflecting on options that are being provided within the app. It's a journey of education and enlightenment, and I very much appreciate the ability to be able to share that information. As they continue going through our program, they will be applying what they're learning using interactive tools. For example, here on the screen, we have a marketing message builder that creates their marketing message for them. Everything is laid out very simply, so that way they are able to pull that information and share it freely, because it is in their own words. It's just getting a little bit of assistance from computers. So it's wonderful. It's easy to understand once we get into the rhythm of the program. We see that participants are loving the builders because they're able to do work at their own pace, and again, in their own words. So let's continue on. As they continue going through our program, they commit to making decisions and commitments, which in turn into their business plan. So at the end of our program, participants have a business plan, and that they can take anywhere, use to find other grants or get other support, get different trainings, and be ready for more. So again, I mentioned that we are online. So we again are in the app. We meet weekly for 1 hour each week, and that is just to really anchor content. We really want to cater to different learning styles, and having that Zoom really ensures that they are able to, really solidify what they're learning, and they're able to communicate and learn from their peers. We are very open to facilitating different conversations about each topic. Once again, the responsive one-on-one coaching, we do offer support via text message, calls, Zooms, anything that we can do that unfortunately is not in person. We want to make sure it's able to be done online. So again, any questions are always welcome via text, call, or Zoom. We do have startup grants for all participants going through cohorts. We do have emergency grants for those that are really finding it difficult to start the licensing process. And we also are connected to zero interest loans and advanced equity. We want to make sure that, again, if somebody desires to have a business, they're not going to be stopped in any way. And we don't want finances to be one of those as well. We have multiple courses, but for those starting off, the current opportunity here is going to be called the Startup Track, in which we have 3 courses, which are Business Exploration, State Licensing, and Business Essentials. At the end, when our participants have graduated, we are assuming that they are at the foot of or have received their license already, so they are eligible for a 1,000 or more plus grant. We do have cohorts starting mid-September and they continue on into December. So if you don't make it to start off in the mid-September cohort, we are continuously enrolling, and that is for Spanish and English cohorts. And the time commitment is a total of 12 weeks. And we average about 2 to 4 hours per week worth of work. That is mostly for the first weeks when we're focusing on the licensing process. That is when we see that there's more work to be done in the real world, as we say, instead of in our actual program in the app. But after that, it tends to taper off into about an hour a week of extra work. I do have a few frequently asked questions that I really want to go over just really quickly. These types of questions have stopped people from starting, so I want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable and is knowledgeable of these really quick. So the first question that always comes up is, do I need immigration papers? The answer is no. You can be a licensed family childcare provider regardless of your immigration status. Second question is, do you need a computer? Nope. Everything, again, is in app. And again, starting off with new technology can be hard, so we are here to assist you if needed. And then what if somebody I live with has a record? Everyone must pass the criminal background check. If they are for nonviolent crimes, that may slow down your licensing process, but it will not get in the way. A few more for you guys. What if I fall behind? Again, we do teach that you can work at your own pace. However, if you tend to fall, a few weeks behind, we do have the option to work independently, at your own pace, of course, but then that will negate you from being able to get the grant. Again, the grant is for those that are working within a cohort. If you need extra help, again, your coach is available, text, phone, or call to be able to assist you in any way, specifically touching on licensing or not. It's anything that is going to help you launch your business. We want to make sure you're there. If you are a renter or live in an apartment, can I run a home business? Yes, you definitely can. It's only a notification to your landlord if you want to care for up to 6 children. So you just have to send an advisory note, and there we go. We can get started. California law, prevents landlords or apartment complex managers or anybody else from getting in the way of you starting your business. So I love that. Is always a good, fun fact to share. So I'm going to pass the path of enrollment and just get started with learning more about our program. For all of those that want to learn more, you are more than welcome to download the app. Or you can search it using the search bar called Nurture Child Care Business. And then we are, again, available on Apple and Android, so you guys can check it out there. You can also text Learn More SBDC to myself, and I will be able to answer any questions that you have. I know right now we're going rather quickly, but I want to make sure we get through this. So my phone number is there for you guys to be able to reach out and get started. We do not like to, rush anybody. So we do have a few steps to do before you're actually enrolled into a cohort. So I'll leave that up for a few seconds and then we can continue on. All right, so today we are here. We are in the Learn More portion of our enrollment pathway. Once you have downloaded the app, you are able to do the pathway called Explore Childcare Entrepreneurship. That is just really going under asking, is this for me? Do I really want to have this type of business? Is my temperament suited for caring for 6 children? We have that first off before anything. So really quick, just going to show you guys a preview of how that looks for you guys jumping in. As soon as you jump into the app, that's the first job to do. That's a first pathway. So you'll be able to explore, check in, start with the first step, checking in to see, oh, okay, like, is this really for me? Will I continue on with the licensing process? And as you continue, again, you'll be watching short videos, asking yourself, is this for me? Doing short surveys and so forth. After you have completed the first pathway, then we, really just want to find a course for you and get that participation agreement signed. So if you have been in business, for a while with your childcare, there are courses for you. We want to make sure that you don't feel left behind. And we do want to make sure that, of course, you're getting the most information as possible. So once you have completed that first pathway, you jump right into the second one. We open it up for you. If you decide, yes, this is for me, and you can continue on, again, doing the first step, continuing on until you reach the last step where the agreement is, and then hitting submit. Once you hit submit and, really said, yes, I want to be a part of a cohort and I want to learn more and I want to get my business plan, that's when the participation agreement will come in, and then we get you into a cohort so we can get you started. And we have our first Zoom. So it's all nice and quick. We have lots of materials to share with you guys if that is something that is available. Again, if you have any more questions, you guys can always feel free to reach out using the phone number provided or downloading the app and going through the pathways there. So if you guys have any other questions, again, please feel free to let me know.
Wow, that's a lot packed in a short period of time. If anybody has any questions for Crystal, go ahead and put them in the Q&A, please. So one question I had for you, Crystal, is if someone wants to go into to open up their own home childcare business, how do they best prepare?
So there are a few things that we want to make sure that everybody understands is that during the first 3 weeks of our program, we assist you every step of the way, hand in hand. Sometimes I might pull, sometimes I might not, but we assist you through the licensing process. So all of the documents, step by step will be there for you within the app. So if somebody comes in, for example, Maureen, and just wondering like, is this really something I want to do? And they, continue on to the first 2 pathways and say like, yes, this is something I want to do. They have nothing to worry about. We grab them again, hand in hand, and we start off and we say, this is everything you're going to do the next 3 weeks and then the next 12. And, we really want to make sure, again, it's easy, it's clear, and understandable, so that way they feel comfortable in that. And we keep the licensing process easy, away from all the bureaucracies of the fun stuff that can come with it.
In fact, I remember last time when we were talking, that's taken care of in the first portion, right? Because if I remember, the licensing can be kind of daunting, right? So can you talk a little bit about that? I think sometimes that might put people off.
Oh, yes, definitely. What we have seen so far with our participants, Maureen, is that if someone decides to do the licensing process independently, it averages a year. Surprisingly, I've heard from people like, yes, this process took me 2 years. And that leaves me just utterly in shock. It leaves me flabbergasted. And I'm like, wow, like our process, it may be different than what others may do, but our goal is to get everyone licensed by the 3-month mark. So when we're done with our cohorts, they should have their license, or they should be on the steps to getting them. So whether it may be they're just waiting for their inspection, or they're just waiting for something, like they should be at the feet of receiving their license. So again, we want to make sure that, like you said, it's not daunting, it's not scary. Everything is clear, straight up. We tell them, this is what you're doing this week, this is what we're doing next week, and this is what we're going to do the 3rd week. So the 3 weeks that we focus in licensing, it is really hand in hand, lots of communication. So, we can really make sure that everybody is comfortable and supported during that as well.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, because the component here, in addition to all of what you've talked about, is the support and the mentoring, right? Because you've been doing this for 10 years, and I suspect you've got more experience behind the 10 years that you've just had with Nurture. So, that's a really critical component, right?
Yes, of course. So before here, I was teaching at a community college in the ECE field, and you know, that's the part where I was first introduced to opening my first daycare there while I was working. And we had a presentation where they brought us the licensing packet, and they're like, "This is what you have to do." And I was like, "What? That like who? Do we have somebody that can support us through this?" And it was scary, even for me, you know, somebody who you know, is again in similar situations to a lot of the participants that we have had before, but not in the exact situation. So for me, it really becomes, you know, a goal, and I want to make it clear that our participants are supported. You know, we advocate for them when it comes time to advocate, if it comes. You know, we are there hand in hand with them, and we want to make sure that they understand that as well. Getting a license should not be, you know, hard, and we want to make sure that for those that it is hard, you know, we can supply those resources to help them do this.
So Amy asks, how can we help promote this program?
Thank you, Amy. So we do have tons and tons of resources for sharing, whether it's for Facebook, Instagram. We have lots of flyers. Word of mouth is definitely the major player in promoting our program, specifically from those who have went through the program and they really learned like, oh, wow, I've had my business for a few months and I thought I knew it all. And they come through the program and they realize, no, they didn't. They didn't have a marketing message or a manual or contract. So word of mouth is wonderful. And I can definitely share some flyers. I did share some with Maureen. Would you be able to distribute those to those on our guest list today?
Yes, we always send out an on-demand follow-up e-blast. And so I'll make sure to put what you gave us in there so that they can access them.
Wonderful, thank you.
So yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. We still have a few more minutes, so if anybody else wants to put some questions in either the chat or the Q&A, we can do that. So Crystal, it seems to me you've had a lot of, in the time that you've been with Nurture, you've seen a lot of changes, right?
Oh, yes. We learn as our participants learn. And again, you know, unfortunately, there's a lot of bureaucracy at times when it comes to the licensing process, and, you know, just really, again, helping, you know, anybody get re-educated, learning together. Advocacy is I think our number one job here. Yes, it is education, but it is also advocacy, because there are some times when, you know, person A may say something and person B says something which confuses person C. So that's where we come in and we're like, don't worry about them. We're going to do this with you and get it done in 3 weeks. So that way they can be licensed at the 3-month mark. But yes, our program is always growing, and as we cater to more, you know, participants in all of California with the focus in the Central Valley, we do rework our program because we do want this to work for all of those that need it. So, you know, we have our ideas, but then we hear realities and we're like, all right, let's change it. That we have to make sure that this is on it for those that need it.
So that's good. It's a very dynamic program from what you're describing.
Yes, of course. We welcome change, and we again welcome all of the community program. We're ready.
Okay, so I've got a couple more questions. Thank you, everybody. Christina asks, do we have to start the program at a certain time?
You do not have to start a program at the certain time, but due to funding and sponsorship, it's always better to jump in if you can. If the worry is more so having to open, I do remind some participants that no, you do not have to start your business as soon as you're licensed, if that's a worry. You know, you can open on your own time. We make sure that this is all set up the way you want it.
Okay, and Zakaya, and I hope I said your name correctly. If I didn't, please forgive me, wants to know, is this only for Central California?
We have opportunities available for all of those in California. So if you are not in the Central Valley, you are still more than welcome. The amount of the grant may be a little bit different, but again, we welcome everybody. You will not get turned away.
Okay, so can we, I know we had the QR codes up there.
Mhm.
So if not everybody knows how to use those or anything, so how would people get in touch with you? And Amy wants to know if we can put the website link in the chat. Iris, can you go ahead and do that, please? Can you tell us what your website link is or URL?
Yes, of course. So we have, I'm going to have to probably text it on to you. I do have a
Okay.
link that directly guides you to our app download. But I'm going to share the QR code at one more time, if that's okay, Maureen.
Yes, please go right ahead.
Okay, so for those that may not know how to use the QR code, you just have to hold your phone, the camera over the code, the appropriate code. So for example, if you have an Android, you would simply open up your phone, go to the camera app, and then hold it over the blue QR code there. If you have an Apple, same type of thing. You just go into your phone, open up the camera function, and hold it over the QR code. A button will pop up saying, do you want to open this link? And then you can say yes, and jump right into the app. You can also just go to your Play Store or your App Store and search manually Nurture Childcare Business, and you will see a little tree pop up that looks very similar to the one right here in the corner. It's a little bit lighter than usual, but it's right there. And you can get started if you want to text or just call. The number right here is the best one to get started with. So the number is 916-919-1353.
Okay, great. So we got lots of help. Thank you, Norma. Thank you, Iris. And then I put one in there too. So there are 3 different links to the website. I think we've got it covered. I really enjoyed having you here today. And I know it was fun to have Mark Evans too, to kind of dovetail the information that he had with what you've got. Great information. You're always welcome. Hopefully what your next cohort starts September 18th. Is that right?
Yes, we're hoping to start September 18th, but again, depending on the interest, we will keep open enrollment continuing on, hopefully having a new cohort a day. So it's never too late to enroll.
Sounds good. Let's see here. Well, right, there we go. Okay. Well, again, thank you for joining us, everybody. We won't see you next week. We will see you on September 13th with Sarah Sims with the San Francisco Federal Reserve. Thank you for joining us today. For Iris, thank you for your help, Iris. For Kelly Bearden, I'm Maureen Buscher-Dang, and have a good day. Bye-bye now.